Hey guys, what's up? Here's Crypto Frank, and today I want to talk about Ethereum. Now, I was inspired by this video by Benjamin Cohen, Ethereum, a realistic price prediction for this market cycle. And he uses this rainbow band to have a look at where Ethereum could possibly reach. I strongly recommend checking out this video. But in today's video, we're going to do a slightly different analysis and see what conclusions we can draw from that. We're going to look at a whole range of things in terms of the history of Ethereum and Bitcoin. The Bitcoin chart, of course, is very important for looking at when and how Ethereum can top out. ETH BTC, of course, a lot of technical analysis here. We're really not looking at any news, but I am going to incorporate actually the EIP 1559 coming up in July, as well as, of course, Optimism rollups, which are hopefully scheduled for July, and how that could play out in this price prediction. So it's of course always exciting to see Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin. If you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know that I am currently more heavy in Ethereum than I am in Bitcoin, more heavily invested in Ethereum. And that is because I believe that this trend will continue. Of course, I've already had more Ethereum than Bitcoin for the past several weeks. But what's very interesting to note is two things. Number one is the ratio between the Ethereum price and the Bitcoin price. So the Ethereum price is $1,919, which is approximately 3.25% of the Bitcoin price. And the market cap, 221 million, is approximately 20% of the Bitcoin price. Now, what's really interesting is to take a little road down history lane. So if we look at this historical snapshot, 28th of January 2018, Ethereum price was 1,246 and Bitcoin price was almost $12,000. So here you can see the Ethereum price was approximately 11 or 12% of the Bitcoin price. That is 4 times the percentage that we have now. As I mentioned, now it's about 3.25%. Here it was about 12%, so about 4 times as much. And again, this is why I hold more Ethereum than Bitcoin right now. I do believe that we will have another similar scenario like this play out. Then, of course, in terms of market cap, Ethereum's market cap here reached just over 60% of Bitcoin's market cap. And as mentioned, right now we're only 20% of Bitcoin's market cap. So that's, a 3x from here in terms of market cap. And of course, a 3x in terms of market cap will approximately equate to a 3x in price. A 3x in price takes us to, almost $6,000, about 5,700. So that's why it's very reasonable to believe that in the medium to long term, I'm talking about, months or maybe up to a year, we could expect to see somewhere in at least the sort of the $6,000 region. So before we go on to the Ethereum chart, I want to show you guys something interesting which I noticed on the Bitcoin chart just this morning actually. So looking at the cycles here, we noticed that this first Bitcoin cycle from the all-time low here to the top here took about 110 bars. And this marked, a massive uptrend starting here in 2012 up until 2014. Then for the next cycle, again lasting about 110 bars, we had a bear market, right? It was just going down. And then the next cycle, we had a bull market, again another about 110 bars going up. And here we had another bear market, again about another 110 bars. Now, of course, this is very rough estimates. You could argue that this bear market only lasted until here, but certainly in terms of the price moving up and going up gradually and consistently, that pretty much started over here on the 16th of March where, we've had some pullbacks, but nothing as major as we had in 2019, at which point the price pulled back 70%. So I wouldn't really call this anything but a bear market, to be honest. So this tells us something interesting. It tells us that these cycles of bull market, bear market, bull market, bear market are lasting approximately the same amount of time. And that would lead us to assume that, we might see the end of the bull market somewhere in mid 2022. Of course, there's going to be some deviation from this line. It doesn't mean that we're going to be exactly on the 21st of February 2022, but it could be between January 2022 and May 2022. And this means that we still have potentially up to basically about another year of upwards growth, assuming that this cycle lasts a similar amount of time to the last 2 Bitcoin bull cycles. So now that we're seeing that the king of cryptocurrencies is looking pretty bullish for the medium to long term, let's have a look at now ETH BTC. So first of all, if we're looking at the all-time high, of course we are a very, very long way from that. Again, as I mentioned previously, the Ethereum price at its peak was worth approximately 12% of the Bitcoin price. And that is marked by this 0.123 level over here. So this implies that even if Bitcoin stays at the exact same price at which it is right now, Ethereum could easily make, almost a 300% gain from here. But because we've already established that it's unlikely that Bitcoin is going to top out over here, it makes more sense to assume that, Bitcoin is going to go up in value, and that, if we do get to this level, that Bitcoin's price will be higher, and therefore we won't just see a 274% gain from the current price level, but instead it could be anything from 2 to 4x this 270%, assuming that Bitcoin does a 2 to 4x in price from here. And of course, we've been in a bull market for the past 82 weeks. You can see clear higher highs and higher lows over here. And right now it's a very exciting time because we have pulled back. In other words, pretty much the best time to buy in. I'm not a financial advisor, guys. Of course, I keep on having to say it just in case someone for some reason believes that I am. But if we're generally going in an uptrend and then we have a pullback, in other words, the price retraces, that's generally a really good time to get in, because it means that you're following the trend, but you're getting in at a good time. And now we've had an interesting price action over the past few weeks. It's really been up and down a lot. I remember when we started pumping here in the beginning of March, I said, hey guys, we have a 4-hour uptrend, and we did indeed. And we came above this long sort of consolidation zone, and it was looking pretty bullish. But then, we came right back down, gave away all of that growth. And then not only that, but we grinded, and then we came down and broke bearish. And I thought this was, not the greatest sign for the ETH BTC. I thought we might potentially see more downside to the previous highs over here, the 0.027 level. But instead, we actually have now started going bullish again. So I'm hesitant to say that, this is the beginning of a big bull move up. But certainly, if we're looking at the price action from what we're seeing right now, right here, we have this long consolidation zone over here from which we are now clearly above. And this is also marked by the HVN zone over here, the high value nodes on the visible range over here. So it just seems like things are looking up for Ethereum in the short term, and of course also in the long term. As I mentioned, the weekly is of course in an uptrend. But what does this mean about where the Ethereum price will get to in the short term? Well, I'm going to get to that in just a little bit. Just again, one more way to show you how far Ethereum could be compared to Bitcoin, or at the very least the whole altcoin market, is this Bitcoin dominance chart, which shows how Bitcoin dominance fell by 57% and then by 51% in the previous bull market. And if that were to happen now, if we had something in between those two, this would bring Bitcoin dominance to a lot lower level than it is right now. Okay, we would see Bitcoin dominance fall by another 45%. So again, another argument for why, if history is to repeat itself, that Ethereum is likely to be in the spotlight for the coming week. Okay, so now we get to the Ethereum chart, and this is where things start to get interesting, because according to these cycles, we've had again a bull market in this first cycle, which lasted approximately 58 bars. 58 weeks, in other words. Then we had clearly a bear market, and then we had, just going sideways, all right? So, but what's interesting is that at the beginning of each of these cycles, there is a pivotal point, a pivot point, all right? So here we had a big move up from there, and then at the end of this cycle, we had a big move down. And of this cycle, we moved up, and then we moved down, okay? So this pivot point wasn't the beginning of a new uptrend, although it was, but it didn't continue straight away. But the point is that we had a big move from the beginning of this cycle, and now, of course, very clear pivot point from this cycle. So this looks a little bit scary, right? Because it suggests that we may be coming to a pivot point over here. And if we're pivoting from here, well, that doesn't mean we can't continue going up, because that's not what a pivot point is. A pivot point means that the price changes in direction. So I'm going to show you what I believe to be the most likely scenario given all these pivot points, and given the fact that we are somewhat likely, or at least there's some possibility that we have a pivot point within the coming weeks. So the first thing to note is that, for example, this pivot point had a deviation of about 9 bars, all right? There were about 9 weeks. The real pivot point was about 9 weeks prior. So it's reasonable to assume that, this won't be a precise level, and that we could go anywhere up to sort of 9 weeks. That would take us to the 21st of June 2021. Now, what's interesting about that date is that it's a few weeks before EIP 1559 is set to be launched, as well as hopefully optimistic rollups. And this would just be a perfect setup in which we have a move up and we keep on moving up, and then we pivot around here. And what I personally assume is likely to happen is that we will come to approximately the sort of $2,500 to $2,800 region, and then we will potentially have a somewhat violent pivot. People will start losing confidence. They'll say, oh, this bull market is ending, blah blah blah, all the same stuff that people always say. And then we see another move higher to, you know, the final pivot point, wherever that will be. You know, let's just assume that it's around $10,000. Okay, for some reason my chart has just completely disappeared. I'm not quite sure what's going on over there, but I also have this lower time frame chart to indicate how this could also play out. We have this potential channel forming here. Certainly we have the bottom trend line respecting this channel, and it's quite possible. Very often what happens is that, you know, if you draw a trend line on one side, you will get a similar sort of resistance as we saw support on the opposite side. And this would also align pretty nicely in the sense that, you know, let's say we get up to sort of end of June over here, you know, the price could go anywhere between sort of 2,371, but more likely towards the higher 2000s, towards $3,000. So as I mentioned in the previous chart, you know, we'll see a move up like that, and then possibly from there we see a more substantial correction before making a move up. Now you guys might be saying, hey, wait a second, we're going to correct from almost $3,000 all the way down to 1,800, you know, and only then will we see another big move up. Well, this is, you know, something I find amusing with a lot of people who are really passionate about cryptocurrency, especially the fundamentals, who know next to nothing about trading, is that they just start getting excessively bullish and they just can't even perceive of a pullback. You know, we have to be realistic. You know, we had a pullback of 37% just a few weeks ago, right? And, you know, this took the price from $2,000 down to 1,300. So even if we do get to this $2,700 range and we see a 37% pullback, that will take us to, you know, about this 1,700 again region. So I think that this is a very, very possible. And of course, you know, if we do break out of this resistance over here is going to mark a very important support on the way down. And it would just make sense. People buy the hype on the way up to EIP 1559, then they sell the event sometime in July. Actually, to be fair, it would be a little bit later probably here. You know, they sell the event and it tanks, and then, you know, because the fees are cheaper, because it's starting to really work properly, people can actually use Ethereum. That is to say, you know, the normal guys who aren't spending, you know, $10,000 transactions, you know, for whom, you know, the $50 transaction fee doesn't matter. But, you know, just people like you and me who want to use Ethereum on a regular basis, you know, once everyone can start using Ethereum, then I think it's a very good chance that, you know, we have another move up. Now, in terms of the longer term price prediction, it really depends a lot on how high Bitcoin gets. And, you know, this video is not really designed for the, you know, longer term price prediction, but I do believe that, as I mentioned, because Bitcoin still has about probably another year in the tank in terms of gas, that, you know, Ethereum could probably also have about another year, and then, as I mentioned, you know, likely top out at the end of that year, somewhere in mid-2022. All right, guys, that's it. Let me know what you thought of the video. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below. It helps to support the channel if you appreciate these types of analyses. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next one.